It's 1976. Apple has just been founded by Steve Jobs. The Viking Ron probe has landed on Mars. The first commercial flight on a Concorde takes place. Life is good. Let's zoom into Victoria. For cars, random breath testing has just been introduced. On the other side of the coin, the railways, VicRail, rebranded from Victorian Railways 2 years before, have been running in a state of decline, only just getting rid of steam engines a couple years before. Much of its rolling stock needed a replacement, as you can imagine. The E-type coaches are one of these, lasting since the 1900s. Instead of replacing these cars, they refurbished them, with aircon being introduced into the carriages. Corresponding with these antiquated coaches were the B-class diesel locomotives. These double-engined streamlined beasts were built in 1952 and are still in service to this very day, albeit some of them converted to A-class diesel locomotives. These two pieces of rolling stock were commonly found on the Warrnambool line, running local services to and from Geelong. Laverton's train station is a major junction between the two railway lines between it and Newport. The two lines are the direct line and the local line. The direct line has no stations, except for some that were closed down. These are Galvin and Paisley. The local line stops at Westona, Altona and Seaholme. There were two more stations at the Williamstown Racecourse and Mobletown, however they have been shut down. These services would run on the direct line, before stopping at Laverton. Before they reach Laverton, they cross over Laverton Creek and head under the road bridge of the Princess Freeway. However, for one train, it would never reach the end of the line. On July 20th, 1976, an up Geelong to Melbourne passenger train was just departing Laverton. The train consisted of E and S class passenger carriages. The leading loco was debated to be either B61 or B76. However, most people believe that it was B61, named Bernie Baker. At the very end of the train was a W-class parcel van. The train was thundering down the line towards Melbourne after leaving Laverton station. However, this was the start of a huge disaster unfolding before them. It was due to arrive into a passing loop, with a 40km speed limit for entering. However, the train was going far quicker than that. It takes the curve and the coaches derail, taking out a pillar of the highway bridge and causing it to collapse onto the train as it drags it along the line, crushing the carriages. Amazingly, only one person died, as well as a number of injuries. Among the wreckage was AE36, VicRail's first air-conditioned carriage. It was scrapped due to this crash. The first carriage had almost nothing left of it. Here you can see the end of it with just a toilet bowl and door frame left. The coaches took out several line-side structures, such as this signal here. B61 broke away from the coaches and continued along the line, possibly coming to a stop soon after. But why did the train not slow down in time? And what happened to the locomotives later on? Well, crossing loops are bidirectional. Instead of always going on the left-hand side, they can go on whatever side they want. Taking for example Shell Harbour Junction. You might expect your train to arrive on the left-hand side of the tracks, facing the city if you want to get to Sydney, but no, it comes in on the right-hand side. As is, the driver did not realise in time to see that his train would be heading into the siding until it was too late, due to the speed he was going at. The first two coaches were scrapped for what was left of them, while the other coaches continued in service until eventually being phased out. B61 has enjoyed a long career over the years, being transferred to V-Line, then heading over to West Coast Railway, before being sold to Southern Short Haul Railroad, being repainted in 2016 for the Goulburn Streamliners Heritage Festival of that year, and still retains the paint scheme to this day, oddly. It's been 44 years. However, this wasn't the first time there was a major train crash in Australia involving a bridge. Just 1 year later, the deadliest train disaster occurred in this nation's history at Granville, killing 84. In 2020, the Laverton train crash occurred, with an XBT speeding far over the speed limit into a passing loop, causing the XBT to crash and kill 2 people, those being the drivers. What was to blame is currently unknown. Only time will tell until the final report will be released. However, you can clearly find links to this accident and Laverton. This wasn't the only incident in Laverton, however. In 2015, a worker was struck by an electric metro train due to assuming that the train would go onto a different route than that which he was on at the time. There is a great documentary on this in the description. I highly suggest you watch it. 44 years have passed since this tragedy, and speed limits are still sometimes taken for granted. Hopefully, our railways can work towards a safer and more prosperous rail network. If you would like to help return similar trains of those involved in this crash to their glory, you can donate to some railway museums that are preserving B-class locomotives, S-class coaches and E-class coaches, not to mention the W-class parcel van at the end of the derailed train. To see them in real life at the moment would be next to impossible due to coronavirus restrictions, especially with the big spike in cases in Victoria recently. The museums are Steam Rail Victoria for all 4 types, Seymour Heritage Railway Centre for B classes and S class coaches, and the ARHS Victoria Division for B classes. Donate using the links in the description.